Welcome to the Encouragement for Real Life podcast. I'm Julie Lefebvre, your host. Life is remarkable, sometimes raw and always real. And some days we could use a little extra encouragement for our real lives. Here you'll find that, along with personal life-impacting stories, helpful life hacks, timely inspiration, biblical insight, and a fresh perspective. The Encouragement for Real Life podcast equips you to be a light in this world and to shine bright wherever God has you. I'm glad you're here today. Welcome back to the Encouragement for Real Life podcast. I'm Julie, and I am so glad you are here today. You know, I think some of us, without even realizing it, are living like everything is an emergency. Like the unanswered text is an emergency. The laundry is an emergency. The messy kitchen is an emergency. The thing we forgot to do yesterday is now an emergency. The look that someone gave us is an emergency. The fact that we're behind on life is apparently an emergency. And I just want to say this right out of the gate here today. A lot of what feels urgent is not actually urgent. This month, we are doing something a little different here on the podcast. It's a top 10 series. Lighthearted, practical, and honestly, I think it's going to feel like a deep breath for your soul and for mine. So today we're starting with 10 things that are not actually an emergency. And if you've been living in that constant pressure, I guess a pressure mode or a way of life, like you can't ever catch up, like you can't ever exhale, well, this episode is for you. And it's for me too. So let's get into it together. The other morning, I rolled over in bed. I looked at the clock, and instantly, I felt like I was already behind. Have you ever done this too? It's a terrible feeling. Whether pressure from your to-do list or your packed schedule or your internal mental checklist that keeps running and running and running, that those nearly cause a panic from within you. I don't like that feeling, and it happens more often than I'd like it to for me. But everything that morning felt like an emergency. Even getting out of bed felt like an emergency. And here I realized I had fallen into the trap of treating normal life like an emergency room. You know, why does everything feel so urgent right now? I was thinking about this, and I came up with some possibilities that maybe they'll relate to you. Maybe you can relate to these, maybe not. But I believe we're overstimulated with notifications on our phones, with noise around us, with endless information that, do we need all this information? We're overcommitted. We have too much on our schedules, too much going on with our kids' schedules, with our family schedules, with our work schedules. We're feeling overcommitted. We're carrying a heavy mental load. We have a lot going on in here, in our minds, and we're having a hard time carrying it all. I think we're also emotionally exhausted. Some of us we're just worn out emotionally. Or we're afraid of disappointing people. That's a big one. Or we're trying to be everything to everyone. No wonder everything feels like an emergency if we're dealing with all of these kind of things. But the truth I'm noticing is this, that when you and I are already depleted, everything feels like a crisis. So let's pause here for a minute, because I think this is one of the biggest reasons so many women feel overwhelmed today. We've started treating urgent and important like they're the same thing, and they are not. They are vastly different. Emergency is something that requires immediate attention. It's the kind of situation where if you don't respond quickly, someone could get hurt or something serious could happen. Now, a true emergency is a medical issue, a safety issue, a child who is in danger, something that is actively breaking down in a way that needs immediate action, or something that genuinely just cannot wait. Emergencies are real. But here's the thing. I believe that most of us are not living in constant emergencies. We're living in constant urgency. And sometimes those feel the same, don't they? But urgency is the feeling that something needs attention right now. Urgency involves our emotions. It makes us feel hypersensitive or hypervigilant or hyper concerned. Urgency is loud. Urgency is pressuring. We feel it. And urgency creates that feeling of, if I don't deal with this right now, I'm going to fall behind, or I'm going to disappoint someone, or I'm going to lose control. Urgency also sounds like I need to respond right now. I need to fix this right now. I need to handle this right now. Or I can't relax until this is done. Or I can't rest until everything is caught up. But urgency is not always truth. Sometimes urgency is anxiety. Sometimes urgency is people-pleasing. Sometimes urgency is perfectionism. And sometimes urgency is just a nervous system that's been stuck in overdrive for far too long. Now, importance is what actually matters most. Importance is usually a whole lot quieter. Importance doesn't usually scream loud like urgency does. Importance doesn't always feel pressing. Importance is the thing that moves your life forward in a healthy direction. And it feels healthy, and you know it. Important is like your relationship with God, your marriage, your kids, your health, your peace, your boundaries, your emotional and spiritual well-being. It's the way you speak to yourself, the way that you live out your days. But here's the problem. Urgency steals time and energy from what's important. Think about that. Urgency steals time and energy from what's important. Because urgency keeps us on the go. It keeps us moving. It keeps us in a state of constant motion. And all of this can feel productive, but living on the go in this way in constant motion doesn't always mean that we're living well. Urgent things demand our attention, but important things deserve our attention. I'll say that again because it's so important. Urgent things demand our attention, but important things deserve our attention. Do you catch the difference? And most of the important things in life require you and me to slow down enough to actually be present, And you know me, I love talking about living in the moment and staying present. If we are in a constant state of urgency, we can't be present. But if we are living in prioritizing what's important, then we can be present. Friend, if you are already overwhelmed, everything right now feels urgent. If you're already exhausted, everything right now feels like a crisis. And if you're already carrying too much, that load that you're bearing is just so heavy, the smallest inconvenience feels huge. It's like you can't take on one more thing. You can't handle one more thing. You can't do one more thing. I get it. And if you've been living in survival mode for a long time, your brain starts interpreting normal life as danger. So you react. You rush. You overthink. You try to control. You try to fix. You try to stay ahead. Not because you're dramatic, no, but because your body and your mind are trying to protect you. How do I know? Because I've experienced this very often, and I know the feeling all too well. I know the feeling of feeling like everything is an emergency, and it's not a fun way to live. But here's a quick filter that we could use. This may help us just at least start to be aware of this, because I believe many of us aren't even aware that we're living in an emergency type of way, that we are living in an urgent type of way and not really prioritizing what's important. Emergency asks, is someone in danger? Yet urgency asks, is this uncomfortable? Importance asks, however, what matters most in the long run? So let's look at it this way. Emergency asks, is someone in danger? All right, so we're feeling like something is an emergency. Is someone in danger in this moment? If not, maybe it's an urgency thing, where urgency asks, is this uncomfortable? So if someone's not in danger, but if it's uncomfortable, it's probably urgent. Yet importance asks, what matters most in the long run? Importance will always take into account what's going to make a difference in the long run. Of course, urgency is the right now. So say, for an example, you have an inbox full of emails that you have not responded to. We'll just say that as an example. Okay, so is someone going to be hurt by you not responding to these emails? Like, is this a life or death thing? No. So it's not an emergency. Is it urgent? Are we feeling like this is uncomfortable because my inbox is so full? Yeah, that's urgent. But what about importance? What matters most in the long run? So in that moment that you're trying to decide, do I answer all these emails, do the urgent thing, or do I do what's most important right now? That's the thing that we need to start recognizing, and we need to start asking ourselves. Is it urgent or is it important? Yes, of course, answering emails are important, but does it have to be done right now? We may feel that pent-up pressure like, oh, I really feel like I need to do this right now so I can cross it off a list and go to the next thing. But maybe it's not the most important thing to do in this moment. And this takes some training. I'm still working through it, and I've been working at this for a while. Because a lot of what we treat like an emergency really is just discomfort. It is. Like a hard conversation, a messy house. Oh, some days I can really relate to that. A disappointing moment, a schedule that feels so tight, someone being unhappy with us, or a task that we forgot to do. a feeling that we don't like. All of these things make us feel urgent. We're in a moment of urgency. But are they the most important? Now, I'm not minimizing any of these. I'm just saying that discomfort is not an emergency. But our bodies sometimes act like it is because it's protecting us from the emergency type of thing. Just because something is loud doesn't mean that it's important. And I think that's the thing we need to remember. Just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's an emergency. And I think the deeper truth is this, that God does not lead us through panic. He leads us through peace. This doesn't mean that life is always calm, because we know it's not. It means that your soul and mind can be steady even when life does not feel steady. So today, I want to help you name some things that feel urgent but are not actually emergencies. So as I share these, I want you to listen with a gentle open ear, not with shame, not with guilt. Jesus doesn't want us to be ridden with shame and guilt, but just with awareness. Because you can't change what we don't name. What we aren't aware of, we can't change it. But once we do, then the change can happen. So here we go. 10 things that are not actually an emergency. Number 1, responding immediately to every text. Why it feels urgent? Because there's a fear of seeming rude or fear of conflict, possibly. But the truth is, you're allowed to respond when you're available to do so. So what to do instead? I'll get back to you soon. You could just text that, I'll get back to you soon, or respond later. Number 2 is fixing everyone's mood. Why this feels urgent is because we feel responsible for everyone's peace. But the truth is, other people's emotions are not your job or mine to manage. It's theirs. So what to do instead? To breathe, detach ourselves, to pray, and then ask God to help us respond calmly. All right, number 3, having a clean house before you rest. This is not an emergency, but sometimes it feels like it. Why it feels that way is because guilt and pressure and comparison, they all kind of collide together when we look at our house and think, I should clean this instead of rest. But the truth is, rest is not a reward for productivity. And that's something I'm still learning every single day. What to do instead is to choose one small reset, then sit down. One small reset. Don't clean the whole house. Just do one thing and then sit down and rest. Number 4 is solving the whole problem today, especially the big things like marriage tension or parenting stress or finances or health goals. Why it feels so urgent is anxiety wants immediate relief. Anxiety always wants immediate relief. So it does feel like an emergency. But the truth is, most problems are solved in layers, not in one day. One decision at a time, one moment at a time. So what to do instead is to choose the next wise step. Just choose the next step. That's it. You don't have to have the whole problem solved today. Number 5, keeping up with everyone else. This is a big one. Why it feels urgent? Well, because comparison enters the scene. Social media can make us feel like I'm behind, she's farther ahead, I can't keep up, I just can't do it all like she can. We start to compare. But the truth is, your life is not late. Your life is yours. Your life is blessed by God. It's not meant to look like anyone else's. You're not behind. You're not too far ahead. You're right where God wants you. And when He says it's time to move, you're going to know it. But what to do instead is to return to your lane, just like a runner in a race. Just return to your lane. You don't have to look to the right or to the left, just your own lane. And ask what matters most right now. What matters most right now? What's the most important? Number 6, the pressure to say yes right away. This is a big one too. Why it feels urgent is the fear of disappointing others. For those of us who are people pleasers, we don't want to disappoint people. But the truth is that you are allowed to pause before your answer. You don't have to have that pressure of saying yes right away. Pause and pray and ask God. And what to do instead? You can respond with, let me check my schedule and I'll pray about it. Perfect. Take the pressure off yourself. Number 7 is getting your kids to every single thing. Oh boy, that's a big one. Why it feels urgent? Because we fear that they're going to miss out if we don't. We don't want to deprive our kids of anything, do we? But yeah, we can feel like they're going to miss out if we don't get them there. If they don't do everything that they want to do or that their friends are doing. That's a hard battle. But the truth is, your child needs a healthy mom more than they need one more activity. So what to do instead? To simplify the calendar and to build spaces of rest and margin in your life. I remember when our kids were little, when they were young. Of course, they're grown and, now I have grandkids. But I remember that they got to choose one thing at a time to be involved in. I should clarify, one thing to be involved in that took them outside of their school activities. So, of course, they were involved in show choir during the day, but, maybe just one sport at night. The things at school we didn't count that happened during the school day, but at night or in the evenings, they got to choose one thing. So my daughter would choose volleyball, my son would choose soccer. But yet, they had friends that were in every single sport possible, where practices would overlap from one to another, and the kids were exhausted. But mine weren't. And I would have been exhausted, running them to everywhere. That middle school age where they can't drive yet, it's really a very taxing time for us as parents. So I think this is a really wise step, just to, make sure that their health is a priority more than all the things that they're doing. It's okay that they're not involved in every single thing. And my kids survived that, and I think they're better because of it today. Number 8, making everyone comfortable. Why this feels so urgent is that we want to people please. We want to make people feel not uncomfortable, but comfortable. We want to make them feel like, yeah, they are the most important people in the world. I mean, that's a good thing to do. But when it becomes urgent and it becomes overwhelming and it becomes this weight, that's not good for us. It's not healthy for us. So the truth, though, is that we can be kind without being consumed. And that's a much healthier place to be. What we can do instead is to have boundaries plus truth plus peace. Boundaries, truth, and peace. Number 9, doing everything perfectly. This perfectionism, it's a hard one for some of us. Why it feels so urgent is because perfectionism tells you that mistakes are dangerous, that you just can't avoid to make any mistakes, that you're going to look silly if you make a mistake, that you're going to fall farther behind if you make a mistake. The truth is, though, done is often better than perfect. It's taken me a long time to learn that. But what to do instead? We can choose progress, not perfection. And that alleviates such pressure from us when we do that. And number 10, carrying it all alone. Why this feels urgent is that we think, I have to handle this by myself. But the truth is, you were never meant to do life alone. God is always with us. You and me, He wants to help us in every part of our lives. He cares about, I say this often, He cares about every detail of our lives. We are not meant to carry everything on our own. We have a God that helps us do that. And He's going to let us know when we're carrying too much and when it's time to lay it down. But what to do instead is to ask for help, to talk to someone, to bring it to Jesus. And that, my friend, bringing it all to Jesus, giving it all to God is the best thing we can do. Actually, with any of these 10 things that we feel are an emergency, give them all to Him. Surrender all of them to Him. I know you probably don't struggle with all of these, but you probably struggle with one or two. Give it to Him and watch what He does with it. That was a huge list, wasn't it? I just want you to unclench your jaw. Just unclench it. Drop your shoulders and take one deep breath. Because God's peace is not something you earn after you finish everything. No, His peace is something you practice while living. It's a gift from Him, and we get to choose whether we're going to live in that peace or whether we're going to reject that peace. So there's a 3-question tool that I like to use. So let's pause and just reset with this. Let's look at this. And I'm going to encourage you to use this anytime that you're feeling the pressure of urgency. It's to ask yourself, is this truly urgent or is it just uncomfortable? That's question 1. Question 2 is, what would happen if I waited 24 hours? Instead of doing it right now, what if you waited 24 hours? And question 3, what would I do if I was making this decision from a place of peace instead of pressure? Friend, you and I do not have to live our lives as emergencies. What if, though, we live them more like Jesus lived His life? He is the perfect example for us to follow. His life was never an emergency. In the pages of Scripture I have checked, He was never rushed. He never hurried. He was always present and in the moment. He didn't react to pressure. And He's probably the person that has ever experienced the most pressure in his life. Imagine being on the cross and having the weight, the sin, that weight of sin of the whole entire world on your back. He didn't react to pressure. He moved with purpose. He was never panicked. And I love what Isaiah 26 verse 3 says in the New Living Translation. This is a great motto to live by regarding how Jesus lived His life. But it says, you will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you. Friend, this is the key. Living in perfect peace because our thoughts are fixed on Jesus. Our thoughts are fixed on what's above, not on the things that we deal with, not on the pressures, not on what feels emergent, not what feels urgent, but what's truly important. Peace is a person, and His name is Jesus. So let's do one thing this week, one action step. Pick one thing from the list that you treat like an emergency. Maybe it's something I listed. Maybe it's something that all of a sudden you just realize, oh my goodness, I'm treating this in my life as an emergency. So choose one thing and practice letting it wait. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but practice letting it wait. For example, Wait an hour to respond to texts. Oof, can you do it? I don't know. I don't know if I can. Leave the kitchen and sit down for 10 minutes. Can you do that? Say to someone, let me get back to you, instead of an immediate yes. Or stop trying to fix someone else's mood, realizing that you can't do that. Or choose one next step instead of solving everything right now. Because we can't solve everything right now, and we're going to feel like we need to try, but just choose one next step. Friend, you are not failing because you feel overwhelmed. You are human. You're carrying a lot. And it's likely that you weren't aware of how you've been living your life, maybe until just now. You've just been in survival mode. But with Jesus' help, you and I can learn a new way to live. You no longer have to live like everything is on fire. You are not a fireman to put out the fires of your life. Maybe you are a fireman in real life or a firewoman, but you are not designed to be putting out all of the fires that you feel like are popping up here and there and everywhere. Let God do that for you. You're allowed to live like God is in control because, friend, He is. And I want to say that if today's episode hit you, it might be because you've been living in survival mode for so long that it's just now feeling normal. And I just want you to know you don't have to stay there. This is exactly what I help women with through Abundant Life Mentoring. We work together to identify what's draining you, what's keeping you stuck, and how to just build some simple life-giving rhythms rooted in truth, not pressure. If you're ready for support and you want someone to walk with you, especially in this season, you can learn more at the link in the show notes. Next episode is 10 things that you can stop doing the hard way. It's going to be a great episode. I think it's going to be an encouraging and helpful and just lighthearted episode. So I invite you to subscribe, share this with a friend, and maybe even leave a rating or review from wherever you're listening or watching. Life no longer needs to feel like an emergency, friend. God has you and your beautiful life in the palm of His hand. He loves you, friend. Thanks for joining me here today. God bless you.
Thank you so much for joining me here today. You can find more at julielefebure.com. And until next time, stay encouraged.